I think everyone out there knows what this is. General George S. Patton famously called it the greatest battle implement ever devised. Now, I think he might have been a little bit overly complimentary in that letter, but the M1 certainly was a fine rifle and years ahead of its contemporaries. Unlike the Mausers and Type 99s and Type 38s that the Germans and Japanese were using, this is semi-automatic. Every time you pull the trigger, it fires around until it runs out of ammunition. You don't need to cycle the bolt manually. It feeds from an 8-round internal box magazine, which was fed by N-block clips. That's a French term. It just means that the entire clip is inserted into the magazine instead of the rounds being stripped off of it. Up front, you see two tubes. The top is the barrel, the bottom is the gas cylinder. The action cycles through a gas operation system. Gas is tapped off through a port drilled in the bottom of the barrel, pushes on the front of a piston, which rotates the bolt and unlocks it, and then pulls it to the rear. That ejects the spent casing, and then when a spring pushes the bolt forward again, that loads the next round. This example has an early pattern milled trigger guard, but a later pattern improved rear sight, which means that this one was very likely produced in late 1944 or thereabouts. It was definitely produced during World War II, and its serial number is in the 3.5 million range. So there's a very good chance this saw combat in the hands of some brave Marine or soldier. John Garand developed his early prototypes in a 276 caliber chambering with the expectation that the Army and Marine Corps would switch to that. It was a round that produced a little bit less recoil and had a little bit less power, but saved weight and allowed the rifle to be lighter as well. General MacArthur personally intervened to insist that all of the trials rifles in competition to eventually become the M1 must be chambered in 30-06 for compatibility with existing ammunition stores and compatibility with the machine guns then in service. You'll notice that the operating rod has a little bit of a bend in it. That's to clear the magazine. You see, the magazine had to be made a little bit wider to accommodate 30-06 as opposed to the 276 Pedersen round for which it was originally designed. Part of the reason why the M1 won out over its main competitor, designed by John Pedersen, was that John Garand had already designed some prototype rifles in 30 caliber. He was experienced with working with the round and therefore could more easily adapt his prototype back to the standard service ammunition. Also, unlike the recoil-operated Pedersen, Garand's rifle did not require lubricated ammunition. It just took standard service ammunition